I still get asked questions on it, but this is the 46th year that the museum has been awarding the Hall of Fame and the Horses to Remember and Eaglehart Award winners. And if you look up, there's 98 Hall of Fame inductees. There's 48 Horses to Remember and 41 Eaglehart Award winners. And the mission of the museum, which is hosting this event for you tonight, our mission is to foster an appreciation of the sport of polo, its history and traditions, by acquiring, preserving, exhibiting, and interpreting our collections. Many of you tonight walked through the museum to get into this tent, and it's also an opportunity for us to honor those who have made outstanding contributions in the sport. And we're going to do that with 5 people and 2 horses tonight. I want to remind you that this museum is the only museum for the sport of polo anywhere in the world. You are sitting in a very special place. We have the finest collection of sculpture, artwork, artifacts, and books anywhere in the world, we believe. No one's challenged that. And we provide the most authoritative repository on the sport, its origins, and recognizing the people and horses who have formed its legends and history. I'd like to take a few minutes to ask you to pause and recognize some people that are here in the audience tonight. First, I'd like to recognize the current and past museum board members and our founders who have given of their time and resources to make this museum what it is. If there's anybody that's on the board, would you please stand up, and I'd like to give a round of applause to the people who stand and make this museum what it is. Second, in the audience tonight, there's a number of our prior winners of the Hall of Fame and Eaglehart Award. And if my list is correct, Red Armor, Bob Beveridge, Joey Casey, Hector Galindo, Julian Hipwood, Charles Smith in the Hall of Fame, and Eaglehart winners Tony Coppola, Tim Gannon, and Jimmy Newman. If you would all stand up and give them a round of applause. This event and recognizing these people who've contributed to the sport is one of the most important things that we do here at the museum. Next, I want to remind everyone that this museum operates solely on your donations and support, and the support of the whole polo community. So I'd like to give a round of applause to everyone who's here, especially those who bought tickets and are here supporting the museum. Thank you all very much. And last, we are blessed with a wonderful staff. George DuPont, Brenda Lynn DuPont, and Christina Warner, who are all here tonight. And a big round of applause for them. They work tirelessly to make sure this event is what it is. And if you get a chance, please walk up and say something to them tonight. And last, I was mentioning to somebody earlier tonight, it's the little things. These are all the people who have combined to sponsor this event tonight. Starting with the dinner sponsors of Mark and Melissa Ganzi and Grand Champions Polo Club. Thank you, Mark and Melissa. We have supporting sponsors of the U.S. Polo Association, ASSN, Alexis Celine and Robert Goldman Foundation, Melissa Ganzi. We have wine and spirit sponsors, Robert Littman, Margaret Littman Orthwine, Tito's Handmade Vodka, Old Hickory Bourbon, 071 Prosecco, Highball Luxury Gin, and Aero Spinozzi Selections. Thank you for everybody for making the dinner. When you leave tonight, you're going to get a gift as you walk out the door. That gift is done by Melinda Brewer and supported by the Iconica Foundation and Martin and Amanda Craig. Melinda is a huge partner with the museum, and she does all of the paintings of the Horses to Remember that you can see on the wall in the museum. And I want a big round of applause thanking Melinda and everyone who does that. In addition, this is a small sport, and we have a number of individuals who make a bunch of things happen that would be hard to replace. Alex Pacheco does all of the photography that donates it back to the museum, and I'd like to thank Alex Pacheco for what he does. In addition, Alex helps support our social media, as does Crystal Zaski Photography, Chucker TV, and Y.A. Tittelbaum. So thank you all to the sponsors and the donors. And now let's celebrate together. Please enjoy your dinner, and we're going to honor the newest inductees when we start the event shortly after dinner. Thank you all for coming, and we welcome you for the evening. I'm told I should introduce myself. Most of you know I'm Marty Craig, and I'm the chairman of the Polo Museum and Hall of Fame. And I'm here tonight to induct 7 people into the museum. Excuse me, 5 people and 2 horses. I'm going to start tonight with the horses to remember. And the first horse we have is Royal Diamond. Royal Diamond was one of the most treasured mounts of the great Hall of Fame player Harry Payne Whitney. She was the first winner of the Best Polo Pony in the Show Champion Cup at the debut of the National Polo Pony Society in 1919, in which she had to excel both at play and in the show ring. She won handily against a large field of impressive talent. The resilient mare had a long and illustrious career serving as a mount for famed players like Whitney and Hitchcock, and was cited in numerous publications as one of the greatest of all polo mounts in her time. To accept tonight, Royal Diamond is Whitney Miller Douglas. Whitney, where are you?
Good evening. Good evening. It is such an honor to be at the museum to celebrate an extraordinary mare. As stated, she was bought from the Duke of Westminster in 1916 by my great-grandfather, Harry Payne Whitney. She was bred in Ireland, and her parentage was not known, but her beauty and conformation were and widely celebrated. One of the amazing facts about international polo of those times is that the great strings of the British, which in 1913 included Royal Diamond, and the Americans were shuttled by steamboat to the matches and then returned by boat to their home countries. They often had little time to acclimate and so had to be very fit and strong. Harry Payne Whitney, as captain of the American team, often procured great ponies to mount members of the team who might need better mounts. Royal Diamond was one of these and was assigned to the great American 10-goaler, Tommy Hitchcock, who was notoriously very hard riding. Many of the greatest international matches were played at the old Meadowbrook Club on Long Island, where Whitney's ponies were stabled nearby in a barn containing 120 box stalls. This barn was later shortened to 60 stalls and still exists today, converted to classrooms by my father for a university. Royal Diamond certainly lived a treasured life there. Royal Diamond was, while in England, so famous and so important to the British team that she almost surely would not have been sold to America if it had not been for World War I and the Duke's commitment to the Red Cross. Royal Diamond won many awards, including a citation in 1927 as one of America's greatest polo mounts from within the quarter century of 1900 to 1925, and winner of the National Polo Pony Society show in 1919. Towards the end of her long career, she was even played by Whitney's 6-goal son, Cornelius Vanderbilt Whitney, my uncle. After an injury, she was retired to the farm in Long Island for the rest of her life to that famous barn. What a mare and what an honor. Thank you to the Museum of Polo and Hall of Fame on behalf of my family and behalf of Royal Diamond.
Whitney, thank you for that. The next horse to be honored tonight is Sweet Bee. Sweet Bee, owned and played by Hall of Famer Charles Smith and Richard Latham, is recognized as the Horses to Remember Post-Hartman Era Award. Sweet Bee earned numerous Best Playing Awards, highlighted by the Hartman Award in the 1976 U.S. Open, and was also the Best Playing Pony of the Camacho Cup that same year. Sweet Bee was a mainstay for Smith in the 1970s as he played her in all the major tournaments, including the U.S. Open, the USPA Gold Cup, the Silver Cup, and the Butler Handicap, amongst others. Here to accept the award tonight is both Dick Latham and Charles Smith.
I'm Dick Latham, this is Charles Smith. We're not Abbott and Costello. But in any event, Sweet Bee was foaled in 1970, and I bought her in 1975. She went in Charles's string. I never played the mare, but I saw Charles play her, and that was enough for me. At one time, when Charles and I were playing together for a 10-year period of time, we had 14 horses in our string. All but 3 came from Cecil Smith. I think that's a rather unusual statistic. In any event, Sweet Bee was a great mare, and I'll let Charles tell you a little bit about how much pleasure it was to play her.
So we bought Sweet Bee when she was 4 years old, and at that time Dad and I were in the horse business together as partners, and he being in the horse business, he felt like we needed to sell horses. So Sweet Bee went up for sale, and Dick was nice enough and fortunate enough for me to buy her and turn her over to me to play. So that's how I got her, and that's how I played her. And she was, basically an exceptional mare, like everybody's exceptional horses are. She had a lot of speed, she had quick speed, she had fantastic lateral movement. You felt like there's no ball that you couldn't get to when you were on her. So she was a great mare. I'm really happy that she's into the Hall of Fame now. And I'd like to thank Dick for his generosity in purchasing the mare and for being a big supporter of my polo through the years. Thank you, everybody.
The next awards we give out tonight are the Philip Eigelhart Award. And the Philip Eigelhart Award is given to people who have given tremendously to the sport in one way or another. And you'll see tonight is no exception. The first honoree tonight is Don Beveridge. A truly iconic figure during the rebuilding years following World War II, Don Beveridge was a catalyst for helping to reinvigorate the sport during the 50s and 60s. An exceptional amateur player, Beveridge helped organize and played on some of the most dynamic teams of the era, leading his famed Triple C team to 3 victories in the U.S. Open, as well as triumphs in the National 20 Goal, now the Silver Cup, and in 1954 and 55, the Monty Waterbury and the Butler Handicap. He was an astute organizer and developer, and as a co-founder of the Royal Palm Polo Club, played an integral part in bringing and promoting high goal polo to South Florida. We learned that Don's son Dan could not be here tonight to accept the award, but he's asked us to read the following on his behalf. Thanks to the nominating committee of the Museum of Polo and Hall of Fame, its board of directors. Also, an incredibly special thanks to Brenda Lynn for her kindness, guidance, and patience in answering all my questions, no matter how inane. Even though this sort of soiree is not my dad's cup of tea, I am certain he would be happy and honored to be among family, friends, colleagues, and teammates here in the Hall of Fame. There are many to thank, but I will start with Mom and Dad. Boy, howdy, was I lucky to grow up with horses and polo in paradise. That was the 1950s and 60s in South Florida. I spent a good part of my youth first at the Gulfstream Polo Club and then at the Royal Palm Polo Club, listening, watching, and learning from some of the greats, such as the incomparable Cecil Smith, a true gentleman and an amazing player to watch. Unbelievable to think 10 goals for 30 years. Wayne Bronco Brown, the last real cowboy. Harold Chico Berry, who my mom said sat on a horse lighter than anyone she'd ever seen, and she was no slouch on ponies herself. I will never forget Les Armour, who took the time to show me and some other wannabe cowboys how to properly toss a lasso and at a Royal Palm Polo Saturday afternoon barbecue. Benny Gutierrez, always a kind word and a gentle hand with the ponies. Carlos Gutierrez, Benny's father, the real horse whisperer who taught me more about polo ponies than anyone. George Oliver, who I would love to hear holler, "Leave it," one more time. Mr. Inside Outside Ray Harrington, the most dynamic player of his time, who would somehow emerge from a pile along the boards with the ball, sometimes right side up, sometimes hanging off the left side, sometimes maybe the right, hell, even hanging under his mount's neck with his legs wrapped around the saddle. Last but certainly not least, it would be great to see my dad on his favorite pony smiling down at me and winking while saying, "I think we got this one, Link." Lincoln was my middle name. Thanks to all, and rest ye merry gentlemen wherever you may be. Polo is in good hands. Polo good? Thank you, Dan, even though you're not here. Next, Vicki Armour. Undeniably one of the best female polo players of the 80s and 90s, Vicki Armour has been a profound influence for women in the sport. A fierce competitor, she easily held her own with the top players, breaking ground by playing in the 22 goal when it was unheard of for women to be competing at that level. She became a favorite subject for the media and was awarded the Polo Magazine Woman Polo Player of the Centennial Era. Globally recognized as a skilled horse person and uniquely gifted trainer of polo ponies, Vicki had an innate talent for picking great horses to make into some of the best ponies for some of the best players in polo. Vicki sends her regrets she couldn't get here tonight for a bunch of reasons, and she said not to go into it. She has a person to accept the award for her in Melissa Ganzi.
Vicki asked me to invite her cousin, Al Armour, up at this time, please. Al, can you come up? Vicki also asked me to read a little something from her. I'm truly honored for this amazing award. I'm sorry for not being able to be here in person tonight, but I'm receiving treatment at MD Anderson right now and could not make the trip. I'm extremely thankful for being alive, and I praise God for giving me the strength to go through this process. I would like to thank my family, friends, and all my supporters. Your help in getting me where I did my polo, horse training career, and the opportunities to play on some really amazing teams is so greatly appreciated. Thank you for recognizing me. It means the world to me.
Hello. Yeah, no, I mean, no doubt Vicki is, truly honored by all this. And you hear people talking about a horse, and sometimes I feel like that's the way I talk about Vicki, And, we grew up on horses from 6, 7 years old. All of the boys wanted to ride like cowboys, and she rode like a Comanche, and she was an amazing rider, just incredible. She'd get on a horse, no saddle, no reins, nothing, and ride like the wind, and none of the boys could keep up with her. She was truly a talent, riding, a phenomenal eye for horses, and just really truly good person, and she was part of the horse when she rode. A lot of times men aren't like that, but she was part of the horse and part of the horse's spirit, and it's a great honor to watch her ride and watch her train and watch her pick ponies, and it was really nice. But she's sorry she can't be here tonight, but you know, life goes on and she's doing well. Thank you.
Alan?
Oh,
You need to be in a picture holding this for Vicki.
all right, thank you. Thank you.
Our third Eaglehart Award tonight is going to Dick Latham. Dick started polo in 1960 at the University of Virginia, and rising to 3 goals, he won the USPA Gold Cup twice, the Silver Cup 20-goal twice, and the 12-goal Inter Circuit. He also played on the U.S. team in the 1976 Camacho Cup. Latham was heavily involved with polo in Dallas and in the USPA, serving as a delegate on the Board of Governors and as a USPA secretary. He was a member of the communications, trophy, handicap, umpire, and tournament committees at various times throughout his many years of service. He also authored Blue Book summaries, the USPA Guide for Umpires, and the section on polo in the Encyclopedia Britannica, if any of you know what that is anymore. Here to accept his award tonight is Dick Latham.
I think that blank screen we had pretty well sums up my polo career. At least a lot of people would say so. This is a great honor, and I would like to thank the committee for deeming my contributions to this great sport worthy of the Eaglehart Award. Polo is a unique game. The relationship between polo player and polo pony is, I believe, unparalleled in any sport. Certainly the horse is a major part of the game. But polo people are unlike other sporting participants. I have been lucky in forming deep, lifelong friendships with some of these individuals I played with and against, and who remained close friends long after I no longer played. Cecil Smith, who became like a second father to me. Charles Smith, with whom I enjoyed a wonderful 10-year playing relationship, and without whom my success on the field would have been far less. Charles and Marcia are also my son's godparents. Red Armour, a great teammate and boon companion in a bar. Red coined the phrase, "one for the ditch," which called for a drink after "one for the road." Lester Armour, fun, entertaining, an all-around wonderful man. Dick Riemenschneider, a pleasure to be around. Friends like Remo don't come around very often. Bobby Beveridge, great to play with and great to party with. Bill Sinclair, a true friend and confidant. There were others I met through polo who made an impact on my life. I will remember them always. Yes, polo is a great game, and we are all fortunate to be a part of it. But as Will Farish said to me when we were playing polo together at the University of Virginia, he said, "Dick, you know polo is the most fun you can have with your pants on." Thank you.
Our last 2 awards tonight are for our 2 inductees into the Hall of Fame. As many of you know, the Hall of Fame is to honor people who have made a significant impact on the sport on the field, both in their winning and their playing and the way that they've made polo into the sport it is today. Our first inductee tonight is Hubert W. Rube Williams. An easygoing Texan, Hubert Rube Williams was also known as a fearless player. He was a key member on the winning West team in the infamous 1933 East-West Series, in spite of suffering a broken leg in the second game of the rough best-of-3. Williams, an 8-goal player, was a familiar face on the tournament circuit, winning the 1928 Junior Championship, now known as the Silver Cup, the 1930 Monter Waterbury, and is a finalist in the 1932 U.S. Open. He was a talented horseman. He was well known for purchasing prospective polo ponies and turning them into top prospects. After retiring from polo, Williams became a celebrated horse trainer on the East Coast. Here to accept the award for their grandfather are Fred and Heather Williams.
Thank you. The way we found out about this was kind of strange. Our mother recently had an accident and we had to get her put into some assisted living, which meant we had to downsize all her stuff. And while we were downsizing, we found a lot of Rube's trophies, along with his polo mallet and helmet. We didn't really know what to do with them. Heather and I both don't have silver cups and that kind of thing hanging in our house. So I started doing a Google search, and I kept getting this page that didn't have Rube on it, and it kept coming up and up. So as sixth time, I decided to scroll down, and there's Rube, and I figured out, oh wow, this is the Polo Hall of Fame, and he's getting inducted to this. So the next morning, I got on the phone and called here, and no one knew that we were even really around anymore, because Rube had died, my grandmother had died, all our cousins, aunts had passed away, so here we are. And yeah, it's been a surprise. Thank you. Thanks so much. And in that regards, we do have some trophies here that we'd like to pass on to the museum, one of them being from the 1933 infamous East-West game, and I'll let these guys talk more about that, and if Heather wants to give a...
It's so funny because we had this in our home growing up, and we never really knew Rube. He had passed away before we were born, and we had heard about this kind of rogue, funny cowboy who flew in the face of maybe societal norms. And that rings true for us. We're very much that way, but we never knew him. Our father was like that too. So it was just really kismet to have this, my brother search for Rube's name when he found the mallet, and to find out that just a week before the announcement came out that he was getting inducted. So we feel like Rube is up there and really wanting us to be here representing him, and we couldn't be more proud. So thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
So, for the benefit of everyone in the room, the cup that they have just provided to us has a listing of all of the games that were played in the 1933 East-West Championship. Interestingly, amongst the teams and the games that played is almost our entire list of Hall of Fame. Cecil Smith, Raymond Guest, Tommy Hitchcock, Michael Phipps, Aidan Rourke. It's unbelievable. I think everyone but one player is in the Hall of Fame at the moment.
Yes, well, he's the last missing
Oh,
one.
so the award we just gave tonight, I didn't know all this. Rube is the last one to come in. He's the only one that wasn't on from this trophy from this championship. What a wonderful gift from the family to donate the trophy back to the museum. And we figured out today, we were talking about whether it needed a lid, and we are quite sure it is supposed to have a bottle of champagne in it. And so we're going to clean it up and see if it still works. But, So thank you to Fred and Heather. This was quite a wonderful gift and a surprise to all of us. Thank you. Okay, we have one more award to give out tonight. Probably someone, maybe most of the people in the room already have heard of, Jeff Blake. Jeff was selected as the Young Player of the Year in 1998 and the Polo Magazine Excellent Awards for Young Player. Jeff went on to represent the United States internationally and to amass a sparkling resume of American tournament wins. Reaching 7 goals, Jeff became a 3-time U.S. Open champion, lifting the trophy in 1996 and 1999 with Outback, and in 2008 with Crab Orchard when he was named MVP. He also won the USPA Gold Cup 3 times and many other high goal tournaments, including the 2006 Joe Barry Memorial, where he was again chosen MVP. Jeff is known as a consummate professional who is highly sought after as a teammate and coach. Here to accept the award is Jeff Blake, and to provide color commentary, Tim Gannon has expressed an interest to help Jeff's expression come out to the audience.
Buddy, just to say a couple of words. The reason I stand here tonight is this man is probably the most humblest man in polo. This man smiles courageously, fights courageously, and is just an incredible guy. And he's too humble to tell you some of the most valiant stories of his life. I'm here to share a little bit about his background. First of all, let's go back into Long Island, where polo started. Most people are born into polo. Jeff worked his way up through polo. Doc Fredericks is here at his table tonight, is one of the people that got him started in polo. So Doc, please stand up. Then next it was Davey Rizzo that got you started up at Bethpage State Park. And I will tell you, one of the only times I sat down in polo and allowed another player to come in was against White Birch. I mean, my regret is to sit down, but I'm happy to say we won and we beat White Birch, and that's a sweet victory. So, so that was '96. Then we regrouped in '99, and Jeff joined full out. And by the way, in '96, in the history of polo, there is the only time that there are 5 members on that trophy, and Jeff's name is on that. Even though we only played 1 game, I thought he brought us to victory. So a tremendous honor for that. And then '99, it was an unbelievable year for Outback. We became #1 in the world because of Jeff and his contribution with Adolfo and Lolo. And we were down by 3 goals. Mr. Blake over there had left the game with 3 minutes left in the 6 chucker, threw his chairs in the back of the truck and drove off and saying, "I cannot believe my son lost against Bud Light." And we won. We came back and somebody said, "Oh my God, it was the greatest final I've ever seen." Jeff Blake was unbelievable. Adolfo was unbelievable. And we won that game, and Mr. Blake still regrets seeing that, but happy that we won. And it was a wonderful year. So I'm here just to say, this is an incredible guy. Jeff is a polo player. What does that mean? That means if you're a polo player, you want him on your team. That's what you really want, is to have him playing on your team. Why? He gives you everything. He's valiant, he's a soldier, he's a fighter. He goes all the way, all the time, and relentless. And you'll never hear him say, "Dame la pelota." I don't even know what that means, but he doesn't say it, and I never got it either. So, I'm going to say, Jeff, it's time to say "Dame la pelota," and here's your mic.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm here today because I've been surrounded by many wonderful people. I thank my family for the great support in the beginning and those who continue to support me as it gets closer to the end. Tim Gannon, Phil Heatley, the Bushes, Peter Brandt, George Rawlings, Dick Fredericks, the Ganseys, Tommy Lee and Don, Scott Wood, John Goodman, Tom Sykes, the Costellos, Steve Cox, Chip Campbell, Jeff Richards, and of course the Dukes, are just some of the many I've had the pleasure of being included on their teams. I've had the good fortune to have been teammates with the best players in the world with the best organizations. I do believe most players would have had equal or more success given the same opportunities. I was advantaged by learning from the greatest of my generation, the Gracidas, Azaro, Aguirre, Joey Casey, Galindo, the Merlises, the Stratas, Paco, Arlianos, Sugar, Brandon Phillips, Crowder, Pancho, Lolo, Hall, Roldan, Martin Munoz, Campson, Escobar, Magrini, Adam, and Owen. They all taught me in their own unique way. Sometimes some were a bit louder than others, Mariano, but it came from a good place. We all know he has a heart of gold. Hector taught me to get out of his way and let him do his thing. And Memo, the greatest strategist to ever play the game. I learned from Adolfo that nobody can do what he can. Someone asked me not very long ago why I don't keep any trophies at my house. The truth is, no matter how many there were, I could only ever see the ones that weren't there. It affected my peacefulness of being at home. And now I realize that none of those trophies actually matter. It's all of you that are important, and the bonds that were created because of my participation, not wins or special awards in this sport. And I'm so grateful for those relationships. I spoke to a friend yesterday from New York, where I grew up. We don't speak often, and he always has a good perspective on things. We spoke about life and work, and I asked him how many work friends he had, and he quickly responded, 1. And I said, you've worked there for 18 years, and you've only managed to make 1 friend? And my friend's a very friendly, easygoing guy. He went on to explain that his work friend had only started working there on Monday. That he himself was out sick on Tuesday. So he said that they hadn't yet had a chance to have a problem. It made me think how lucky and grateful I am to have worked with so many incredible people that I'm so proud to call my friends. I've decided this evening that unlike the other trophies, I will keep this momentum in my house. Because I know when I look at it, I'll be reminded of this community that's always been there for me and shown me great kindness, patience at times, and love. It will stand as a constant reminder of how much all of you truly mean to me. It's been an absolute pleasure spending my life with all of you. Thank you.
All right. Jeff, thank you very, very, very much. Maybe one of the more touching speeches we've ever had from a person receiving their award at the Hall of Fame. I'm happy to tell you that our festivities are now nearly complete. I'd like to congratulate all of our honorees. I'd like to let you know that as you leave tonight, we've got a little memento of the evening for you, which is a book done by Melinda Brewer, who does a lot of the, she does all the Horses to Remember paintings for us and a lot of other things for not only the museum, but also for Polo. And I wish you well and thank you for coming. And we hope to see you again next year at our next gala event and induction. Thank you all.